Hey folks, Plev here, and today I'll be teaching you how to fly the F-51D Mustang in IL-2 Korea. This aircraft is pretty special to me, given that one of my ancestors actually died flying the F-51D Mustang with the 67th Fighter Bomber Squadron over Korea. This video is divided into chapters for your convenience. Let's get started. Here we are on the ramp at K-46 Airfield. We'll begin with cockpit familiarization. We'll begin on the bottom left. Here we have our altimeter. Above that, we have our airspeed indicator. To the right, we have our gyro compass. And below that, our side slip indicator. Coming to the right, we have our climb indicator, or VSI. And above that, we have our artificial horizon. Tucked away behind our gun sight is our magnetic compass, but it's quite difficult to see. On the right console, we mainly have engine information. Let's take a look at these gauges. But first, we'll start the aircraft so that we have information to look at. Before starting the aircraft, we'll set our throttle to roughly 10%. We'll set our engine RPM governor to 100%. We'll set our mixture to run. And about the mixture, it has 3 positions: idle cutoff, run, and full rich. We'll press E to start the engine. When doing so, make sure you depress your toe brakes. It'll take a moment for our engine to engage. First, we have our manifold pressure. This is usually managed with the throttle. Down and to the right, we have our tachometer. Here, we have our coolant air temperature gauge and our carburetor air temperature gauge. Here, we have our combined engine monitoring gauge. This gauge includes an electric oil thermometer, an oil pressure gauge, and a fuel pressure gauge. Located over our left shoulder is our auxiliary fuel tank gauge. At our feet, we can find our left wing fuel tank gauge and our right wing fuel tank gauge. You may have to come to graphic settings and disable pilot body to be able to see these gauges. Another lever you'll also need to disable your pilot body to be able to see is the flap position lever. With all of that out of the way, we're ready to taxi. We'll turn on our navigation lights with right Alt L. Do note that your tail wheel will freely rotate by default. The way you lock your tail wheel is simply to pull your stick towards your pilot and to roll forward about 10 feet to straighten the tail wheel and allow it to lock. I'll pull back on the stick in order to engage the rudder steering control. I'll give her some power and begin to roll forward. Using the toe brakes to turn. I'm going to straighten out the tail wheel and lock it for the straight stretch taxiway. I can lean out the side to look past the nose if I need to. At the hold short, we'll configure the aircraft for takeoff. We'll set our flaps to either 10 or 20 degrees. We'll look left and right for traffic, and we'll go ahead and take the runway.
Eagle, this is Falcon. Requesting takeoff clearance. Over. Falcon crew. Takeoff. Now. Falcon cleared for takeoff. Falcon crew. Takeoff. Now.
Before we take off, take a look at this chart. We'll be using manifold pressure and RPM to determine which engine mode we're in. We'll be using combat mode for takeoff. I'll shut the canopy by pressing C. I'll roll forward about 10 feet to straighten out the tail wheel. Holding our brakes, we'll throttle up. Pull the stick back again. Roll forward, release the brakes. Our nose come down. We'll lift off around 100. We'll go ahead and raise our landing gear. And we'll raise our flaps. We'll bring the engine down to normal mode. That'll be 46 manifold pressure and 2,700 RPM. That'll correspond to about 80% RPM and 70% throttle. Again, here are your engine modes. We'll check back in up at altitude and discuss some of the particularities of flying this aircraft. This aircraft is fairly simple to manage, with the radiators being automatically controlled by the aircraft itself. They can be manually controlled, but that's outside of the scope of this video. In its standard configuration, with 182 gallons or 68% fuel, the aircraft can maneuver, but past this, the auxiliary fuel tank in the rear of the aircraft will be filled, and the aircraft will become extremely unstable and will be prone to snap rolls. By default, the aircraft comes equipped with the gyro gun sight. However, it can optionally equip the K-14C gun sight, which I covered in a separate video, which is capable of calculating your rocket shots for you. The aircraft performs well in a dive, however, care should be taken not to exceed Mach 0.75. Past this airspeed, the aircraft may become uncontrollable and may even disintegrate. When carrying drop tanks, care should be taken not to achieve excessive side slip, as the aircraft may enter a spin. If you throttle down with the landing gear raised, a siren will sound off in the cockpit. Using our gun sight mode keybind, we can cycle modes for the gyro gun sight. Using our gun sight target size keybind, we can enter the expected target wingspan. Using the gun sight target distance keybind, we can enter the expected range at which we'll be calculating deflection shots for. The gun sight will calculate shots for targets pulling the same G-forces as us. As long as their wingspan fills that reticle, you should be good to go. With all that out of the way, let's work our way back for a landing. We'll set a propeller RPM to about 80% to limit ourselves to 2,700 RPM for the approach. We'll slow down to below 170 miles per hour and drop our gear. We'll fully drop our flaps below 165 miles per hour. We'll have a glide slope speed of roughly 150 miles per hour, a final speed of 120 miles per hour, and aim to touch down at 87 to 95 miles per hour. Right now, we're crabbing a little to make up for this crosswind. Using about 40% throttle. I'm going to start to cut that back just a bit. We're going to aim to slow down to around 120 here. We're a little slow, we're a little left. That's all right, we're just going to correct for it. Right where I want to be. We're going to pick a reference point just to keep an eye on. I'm going to round out and arrest our descent with some throttle. Nose up, throttle back. Pull that stick back. A nice 3-point touchdown. Bounced a little, that's all right. We're going to let the aircraft come to a stop, slowing down aerodynamically at first, and then applying some brakes.
Falcon, this is George Hero. Objective completed. Return to base. Falcon 1. Roger.
And we'll taxi to exit the runway. All right, guys, if this video helped you out, please consider subscribing to my channel. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video and what aircraft you'd like to see next. Plev, out.